Hello, today we are gonna practice the English language again, and I am gonna do this practice tonight because it's been a while since I last did the recording. I think it was just yesterday that I did a recording, and I know that I need to continue to practice because otherwise I'll end up like what happened to me about 3 or so years ago when I didn't really talk much in English or in any of the other languages that I was practicing prior. Although I did do some writings, emails, and stuff like that, but really speaking, I didn't have anyone to talk to in English out loud actually, not that much. So I think that it was a good learning experience for me to continue to practice and say stuff, and eventually I've reached this point when I don't have to worry too much about lagging in in the way I speak. When I say lagging, I mean sometimes takes me a really long time to say whatever it is I want to say because I don't remember very quickly the words. I think that was happening to me at the time just after, I think it was about a year or so when I stopped going to university because I didn't need to go there anymore because I didn't have load. I didn't have teaching load or whatever it is that a person would need to be in the university. Although I was still invited to come over and help out, but I thought that given whatever was happening at the time, and more specifically, I think the problem that was happening at the time continued on 5 or so years afterward. It's still going on, but I felt that maybe I needed to go somewhere and not stay in the university. And I maybe if I would have to be specific, I think it was really because people were somehow, some inadvertently, of course, were against me. Like, for example, I lost my my parking pass. So I cannot anymore park inside the campus. If I wanted to park, I need to get a visitor's pass. I think that's what they call it, a visitor's pass. Every time I would have to park there. So the alternative would be to not bring a car and just commute to university. But if you have to do that every day, I think that it would be such a huge demerit, I think, for your life because I've done it myself also. I was doing it before, and we know that there are problems with pollution and things like that, especially if you're going out in the streets and there are other vehicles there passing by, and sometimes the vehicles don't care if they are creating pollution as long as they can move and go to wherever they're going. And also because I didn't have any way to make money there, and of course one would say that, well, eventually you'll figure out how to make money. But it was like I had a job and I didn't have any job anymore, and I was looking for a way to somehow get a job there, but it was a problem. And still, I think that there were people who were trying to help out and looking for ways to somehow get me some kind of allowance or something like that. But given the situation that the problems were piling up, and it seems like people, like most people, didn't really want me there anymore. So okay, I'll go and do something else, and that's why I haven't been talking for many months, and that's why when I did my recordings, you could definitely observe the problems when someone hasn't been talking a lot out loud, actually, because you can chat, you can write emails, but there's a difference in the speed when you talk out loud and you are talking to someone, and you can see that it's a lot faster, the pace is a lot faster if you're talking to someone out loud, not like when you're just writing emails, because sometimes people have a lot of time to think about what you want to say, and if they don't know how to say something, they can look it up. So you have all these leeway that you can take advantage of to come up with some kind of paragraph. And I know that there are people who, because they want to have some kind of uh, perfect paragraph that they want to email to people, it take them maybe an hour. An hour to write the paragraph. But if you are talking to someone face to face, for example, usually chances are you won't have that long a time to think about what you want to say and look for the right vocabulary or the right sentence pattern, whatever that may be. So you just have to say the things very quickly. And it takes practice, and it takes, I think, experience also, but definitely practice, I think, because I was speaking almost every day previously, and then it stopped, and so I had experience, but I had to get it back and going again. It's kind of like riding the bicycle, where previously you've ridden one, and after so long a time you haven't ridden one, and so it takes you a while to get used to it, but eventually you can do it. I think the bicycle is a lot faster to get used to, even after not using it for a very long time. But speaking would maybe take a lot more time, I think, because in my case, it took me several months to at least really be able to speak a lot faster. Although there was a point when I spoke too fast, I think. So I know that there are people would say, well, if you're talking without anyone really interacting with you in real time, then that's what you'll end up with. But I think it would really also depend on the personality of the person. Sometimes you get people who are not observant enough, I guess, when they're talking, or some people don't really care too much. That's why I think there are people who want to show that they can interact very well with other people, so they bring someone, and then they come up with some kind of video program and show that they can talk to the other person really all right. And I think it's a common response on YouTube, because they say that this guy speaks very well, but maybe it's only because he doesn't really have anyone he's talking to on the camera in the video that we can see. So if you bring someone, maybe even on Zoom, for instance, we'll see how he isn't really that good. And I think that's why there are people who try to get just maybe anybody out there who's at least kind of similar in interest, and just so that they can talk somewhat, and so what you get is, well, some kind of conversation. But sometimes you also feel that maybe it's not as good as it's supposed to be. But maybe in real life it's really also kind of like that, so there's no big difference. But I do know what it's like when a person is talking and another one is engaged and is also interacting pretty well with another person. So I think it's really the part about maybe you guys aren't really too close to each other that much, or maybe sometimes you get people who don't want to say too many things, or don't want to reveal something about themselves too much, and that's why you get that kind of conversation where it's like, I have something to say, but I don't really want to say everything, and I have something that I want to tell you, but this is the only thing that I'll say for now. I can't really say too much. Sometimes when you hear that, you also would prefer something else, or you'd want to hear, actually, if there's more, then why don't you say it, right? So, or why don't you just not say that you have something more to say, and you're not saying it? So something like that. All right, so I think that should be enough. Thanks for joining me. We'll see each other soon.